If you've clicked on this candy apple tutorial, you're probably looking for the easiest way to make Christmas candy apples by using one pot without reheating your candy apple mixture. You're not good with working with the fondant? No problem. You can still make beautiful Christmas candy apples by making 2 solid colors using 1 candy apple pot. Add cute Christmas candy apple bows and make your candy apples walk, talk, and dance. Of course, none of this is possible without my miracle candy apple recipe 641. There's no way you can get the same results using those old, outdated candy apple recipes. I have already cleaned my apples using lemon juice, baking soda, and salt. The next day, I insert my straws until I hear a crunch like this. It's best for me to insert my straws the next day so I don't have any of those issues with my straws not inserting in the apples or bending. This is my Miracle Famous 641 candy apple recipe. I am using 6 cups of sugar, 4 cups of water, and 1 cup of light corn syrup. For the light corn syrup, I usually use Cairo, but I have also used the Walmart brand, and that worked just as good. After I have added my light corn syrup to my candy apple mixture, I add this Lorenz butter vanilla. I add 1 or 2 teaspoons of butter vanilla. I love for my candy apple mixture to look like this because I know I am going to have perfect candy apples. Now, if my candy apple mixture is too thick like this, then my candy apples are going to be too thick and there's no way I can get the same results. I need 2 different colors and I do not want to reheat my candy apple mixture. I need to go with the flow. I need everything to be smooth. I need everything to just flow. I just can't stand to stop in the middle of making candy apples just to reheat my candy apple mixture. I have already added my white here to make my white candy apples, so I have added my white gel food coloring. As you can see, I have inserted my candy apple sticks upside down because when my apples are big, I insert my sticks upside down. It makes the process for me much easier because the wider part of the apple is at the bottom and it's dipped in the pot right away. If you need to learn how to clean your apples for your candy apples, click up here at the top right of your screen. I'm scraping the bottom of my candy apples. Now, I know some of you like that extra candy on the bottom. A lot of you like that extra candy on the bottom. If you like extra candy on the bottom of your candy apples, let me know down in the comment section that you like extra candy on the bottom of your candy apples. I am dipping 6 white candy apples and now 6 red candy apples once I am done with my last white candy apple. I use Hobby Lobby Super Red Gel Food Coloring. This right here is that deal. You will get super red candy apples even if you have used a lot of white, like I had to do with my white candy apples. And with this Miracle 641 candy apple mixture, your candy apple mixture is not thick. Now look at how I still dip these red huge apples. These are big apples. And guess what? I don't have to reheat my candy apple mixture because this 641 candy apple recipe is that deal, and you're going to be able to dip all 12 candy apples using 2 different colors. You will also be able to flex with this candy apple recipe. When I say flex, I'm talking about the candy apple recipe. This is so flexible because once I am done dipping all of my red candy apples, I am going to take a white candy apple and dip it back in the red candy apple mixture to make a 2-toned candy apple for Christmas. Now it's time for me to take a white candy apple and just dip it back into the red candy apple mixture halfway to make a two-tone Christmas candy apple. This is too cute. So if you don't know how to work with fondant, you can do this with your candy apples and still flex. All you need is a cute Christmas candy apple bow, and I will show you how to make those, as well as attaching it on your candy apple bag later on in this candy apple tutorial. Now I am making another two-tone candy apple, and it's time to decorate these cute candy apples. Anytime I use fondant, I have Talos powder or gum tex powder. They're both the same thing. If I don't have neither one of those, I just use cornstarch. And this pretty much just dries out the fondant, because fondant is really sticky, but you want to be careful and not use too much because it can make your fondant brittle and hard. So I am taking a piece of red fondant and place it in the candy cane silicone mold where the red bow will be. So I will be using red fondant and white fondant. So right here I am using red fondant, and I will spread it out using my fondant tool like this. This fondant that I am working with is really sticky, so I am going to place some powder down to avoid my fondant from sticking to the silicone mold. I am placing my white fondant down on top of the red fondant, and you want to make sure your fondant is spreaded out inside the cavity really well. I will use another fondant tool just to flatten it out like this and make sure the fondant is spreaded throughout the cavity. Once I'm done here, I will flip over my silicone mold and just pop it out, and it looks perfect. I repeat the process and just attach it to the candy apple. This fondant is so sticky, it just attaches on. I didn't need to add water. I am pretty much going to do the same thing for my wreath. You can find any round silicone mold to make a wreath. This is a frame silicone mold, and I will just add a red bow and some red sugar pearls. I'm rolling out my fondant to make sure the fondant is spreaded throughout the silicone mold. I take a fondant tool and scrape the extra fondant off the frame. Add on some extra gum tex powder, Talos powder, or cornstarch, whatever you have at home when your fondant is really sticky. This fondant is sticky. I am adding red fondant to the bow silicone mold, and like I said previously, this fondant is really sticky, in which I have to add more gum tex powder so the fondant doesn't stick to my hands nor the silicone mold. I'm scraping off the extra red fondant in the bow silicone mold, adding more Gum-Tex powder so the fondant doesn't stick. Pop out the bow. I'm popping out my wreath. I will add a dab of water to the top of the wreath to attach the bow. I am attaching the wreath onto the candy apple. I am applying my red bow. Again, I did add a little water on the top of the wreath to make sure the bow attaches to the wreath. I am adding red sugar pearls to the wreath to make it look more decorative. This is gold luster dust. I will apply a little lemon extract. I will be applying this gold luster dust on my stocking for my designs. This is a stocking cookie cutter stamp, so it cuts out like a cookie, and you push down this right here to stamp on your design. I will now apply my gold luster dust on the design. I am making another bow to go on the top of the stocking. I think this might be too much red on top of a red candy apple, so I may switch out and make a green bow. It's a good thing I didn't attach water on the back of this bow because I need to take it off, and I am going to use a green bow for the top. Dab a little water on the back of the bow and attach it. Using my rope silicone mold, I am going to do the same thing that I have done with my fondant, including coloring this rope gold with the gold luster dust to attach on my candy apples. I like to make my fondant pieces pretty much the same day for my candy apples, because if I would have made this rope fondant 2 days or a day prior, it would be too hard. It would be hard. It wouldn't be as flexible. I am applying gold luster dust on the parts that I didn't get, like this. Remember that red bow I didn't use on the stocking? Well, here you go. Making the candy apple bows this way is a much easier way because I am just using ribbon. You do not need to measure out your ribbon, and I am going to tell you why. Cut one piece to see if this is the right size bow for your candy apples. If not, make it a little bigger. I am going to use this size as my guide to cut the rest of the ribbon. So you make a loop and you bring the loop down to the middle. You pinch the middle, take a twist tie, wrap it around, and tie it in the back. You can bag your apples, and with your bow you can just take that twist tie and wrap it around the bag and tie it in the back of the candy apple bag. Cut your tails if this is the way you're going to make your candy apple bows in your bags. Hang tight because I will show you how to bag your apples for your customers. For display, I usually just add some hot glue, place the bow on the candy apple stick. For your customers, you want to take the cellophane bag, place your apple in the bag, put your twist tie on. You can twist the bag or you can just twist the tie on. However you want to bag your apples. Just put the candy apple in the bag. Put your twist tie on, tie it in the back, and then take your candy apple bow, put a dab of hot glue on the back of that, and attach it to the candy apple bag. If you have enjoyed this candy apple tutorial, make sure you stay tuned to watch my next candy apple tutorials coming up right here on Candy Apple TV. I'll see you in a few seconds over in my next video.